Again, thank you for being here. Does that sound a little bit better?
Yes.
Great. Wonderful. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on this beautiful, sunny day. I can feel that the park is full of love. My name is Nancy Magee, and I am a friend of Lorianne and Christine Villanis. I've known the boys, Riley and Trevor, just through their stories and checking in every once in a while when the boys were visiting in Half Moon Bay. But I've been watching them grow up into the beautiful young men that they are. And I really want them to know that we're all here to love them, circle up around them, and celebrate the life of their family, both in their memories and in their future. My comments today are to welcome you, and then as I begin the formal program, I want you to know that the family of Susannah gathered together to collect all of these stories, memories, and reflections about her wonderful, beautiful life. And so as I read this, know that this is a collection coming straight from the heart of Susannah and her family. Susannah Frances Pearce was born in Redwood City on April Fool's Day in 1986. An easy birthday to remember. She was a sweet baby who slept so much. To wake her up for feedings, her mom had to sing, "Wake up, little Susie, wake up." And I can hear the young mom, Lorianne, singing those words. Susannah has an older brother, Josh, who was her best friend growing up and continued to be so throughout her life. He was the one who started calling her Susie and still does. She also has a younger sister, Noah, and a younger brother, Jonah. And there was always lots of laughter when the four of them were together. When Susannah was young, she loved animals and wanted to be a veterinarian. She almost made that goal. That love and compassion translated into excellent nursing skills as an adult. She had lots of pets growing up, including rats, a fish, a cat with a stubbed tail named Nubs, and a dog named Bailey. When Susannah was about 10, she had a pet rabbit named Peter who lived in a hutch in the backyard. He was an outdoor pet, and he didn't really like to snuggle, and she wanted to get a rabbit that wanted to snuggle. So she rode her bike 2 miles to the Hillsdale Mall pet shop, picked out and paid for a baby bunny with her saved dollars and quarters. And then she biked it all the way home. She told her parents she found it on a sidewalk in the neighborhood, and could she keep it? The giveaway, though, was that it was in a box marked with the pet shop logo, and shortly she felt so overcome with guilt that she confessed to the caper. During most of her childhood, Susannah took piano lessons from her noni, performing in many recitals and receiving many certificates. She was so good that at one point, Noni was in another room and heard piano music coming from the studio. So she said, "Oh, Susannah's getting so good." In actuality, it was a recording of a professional pianist and Noni couldn't tell the difference. Susannah would spend hours practicing songs she really loved and became quite good at Pachelbel's Canon, Flight of the Bumblebee, and the Gary Jules cover of Mad World from the movie Donnie Darko. As an adult, playing piano was a favorite way for her to unwind, and she received an electric piano for her graduation from nursing school from her mom's. Her mom homeschooled Susannah and her siblings through junior high school, but Susannah actually hated it and advocated for going to a real high school, especially one that had lockers. That was the epitome of a high school experience for her. She made many lifelong friendships from her time at Alma Heights. During high school, Susannah was in the school choir and participated in team sports. She played softball and basketball with the school teams, but she hated all the running in basketball and switched to volleyball, which she loved. Once, when she was playing softball, her dad promised her $20 if she hit a home run. So, up to the plate she comes, she hits the ball, makes it to first base, and heads on to second. She rounds second base, they overthrow the ball. She even lost her cap as she headed to third base, then with strong determination headed to home plate. Again, the outfielder overthrew the ball. So, safe, home run, and received a very well-earned $20. Susannah was a lifelong Giants fan, and both of her parents took her on separate trips to spring training. On a trip with her dad, she was able to score an autographed baseball from Barry Bonds. Susannah also traveled a lot since her dad worked for United Airlines, so she could say that as a child, she had been to many states, as well as Europe as a teenager, and then Amsterdam as an adult. She had recently taken a cruise to Mexico with the boys. She took a road trip last year to the Grand Canyon in a rented RV, but she also liked to rough it camping. One time she camped way out in the wilderness of Arizona with no cell service, and in the morning when she went to start her car, it would not crank over. Obviously, she found a solution to that dilemma. Everyone who knew Susannah knew how super smart she was. She was part of the gifted and talented program in elementary school and enrolled in college-level classes during high school. While raising her two boys alone, she was able to put herself through nursing school, passing with high marks. She was determined and resourceful and rarely asked for help. Susannah married Miguel Caron on the 4th of July in 2007 on a cruise trip to Alaska. Her dad officiated, and Miguel's extensive family threw them a beautiful reception in Colma when they returned. They divorced in 2010, and her now ex-mother-in-law, Denise, was a great friend of Susannah's and a constant and reliable help taking care of the boys when she worked the night shift. The whole Caron family extends their heartfelt condolences to all of Susannah's family and friends. They knew her as a loving and caring mother, daughter, sister, auntie, niece, cousin, and friend. She was a dedicated mother and a hard-working individual. Some of Susannah's hobbies were crocheting, reading, playing the piano, following the Giants, going to the beach or crab fishing, getting massages, and taking naps. She loved naps. And although this is a solemn occasion, Susannah would not want it to be. She would rather you tell some Futurama jokes and crack open a beer. She was the life of every party and so funny. And whenever there was a gathering of any kind, she always had everyone laughing until they cried. Generous to a fault, she often wanted to help those who were in need. Jonah said she would house you or kick your ass, sometimes both. She engendered devotion from her many, many friends, as evidenced by all of the people here today honoring her, even during a pandemic. Susannah moved to Phoenix with her boys right after nursing school graduation because it was easier to get an entry-level nursing job there than in the Bay Area. She worked at the Phoenix Children's Hospital for almost 2 years, gaining valuable experience before returning to the Bay Area. She had a great circle of friends and supports there in the desert and stayed in touch with them after moving back home. Back in the Bay Area, she started working at Lucille Packard Children's Hospital in 2015 as a pediatric transplant nurse. She was always especially tender with babies and young children, so this was a good fit for her. She then transitioned to the float team, a move she was so happy to make so that she could expand her nursing skills and make more nursing friends throughout the hospital. She worked hard in obtaining a promotion to Critical Nurse 4 and was a certified pediatric nurse. To be promoted to that level, she had to be an expert and do extra work and activities at the hospital. The majority of the nursing staff are level 2. She was also a peritoneal dialysis super user, which sounds way too smart for me, teaching patients and families about peritoneal dialysis and serving as a resource to other staff. Susannah was part of the acute care float team, which won the 2019 Daisy Award for Extraordinary Nursing, a recognition that is posted in the main hallway of the hospital. She was also a nominee for the award in 2014 and received many thanks from families for her care of their children. She continued to offer excellent care throughout the ongoing pandemic. Susannah's colleagues at Lucille Packard will attest to her tremendous efforts as a bedside nurse. She was one of the most compassionate and caring nurses with her patients and families. She provided them with the best care possible. She was an amazing charge nurse and a strong team leader. And no matter how busy the unit was, she was always there to provide assistance. Susannah received many recognitions from the unit she worked on for her practice of jumping in whenever needed and sharing her knowledge with her peers. She wasn't just a colleague, she was a friend and part of the float family. She made them laugh and smile, cooked for them, and just made sure that everyone was okay. Susannah will be sorely missed by her colleagues. She was loved, and work will not be the same without her. And now about the boys. Susannah raised these 2 boys, Trevor and Riley, for the last 2 years as a single mom. But she had a village to help her, and that's the way it will continue. She devoted her free time to giving them a stable, secure, and loving environment, an organized and structured home complete with meal and chore charts, and planned activities like Giants games, camping trips, or going to the snow. She took them on outings to Rock and Jump or Wolf Lodge and to the movies. She was often looking for ways to encourage good behavior and help them become able adults. To Trevor and Riley, your mom did not leave or abandon you. You were her whole world. Even when you weren't getting along or she raised her voice, she still deeply loved you and wanted the best for you. She may be gone physically, but she has left a piece of herself in each one of us. And we will continue to share those pieces of her that we cherish with you, so that she will always be alive in your hearts and minds. On a serious note, many knew that Susannah had addiction issues and that she was good at hiding it, which is actually one of the symptoms of addiction. She fought hard every single hour of every single day and worked determinedly to overcome this demon. She fought and fought the urges, planning all sorts of distractions or rewards for herself. Many friends have attested to the Herculean effort she put in to overcoming this disease. Society tells us that we should be ashamed of Susannah's situation and only whisper about these things. But addiction is a disease, less accepted by society than, say, cancer, possibly managed, but often not overcome. Addicts need compassion and support, not condemnation and judgment. But society has yet to get there. Let's not perpetuate that mentality, but speak openly and remove the stigma so that those who need help feel safe asking for it. We all have our personal memories of Susannah, and while cherishing the good ones, let some of the not so good remind us to be kind and compassionate to each other. You never know how long you have with them, and you will not want to regret those missed moments. As her friend Harmony says, you may travel all over the world or may never even leave your hometown. But when you find someone who's truly genuine and you're kind of weird, that is the biggest blessing you'll ever have in life. There are just a few people who then become a family, a wolf pack, a squad. These people shape and form a lot of what we become in life. Susannah is one of those people. She showed us how to be kind, accept people without judgment, and believe that there is good in everyone. And that the small stuff is really not worrying over, and not to let it bring you down. These are the comments from the family and friends. I want to just add a few comments of my own. I know the disease of addiction very well. My son is an addict and has struggled for more than 15 years. I know the pain of being a family member who loves that person and has very little control over the cure. But every person who suffers with this disease displays incredible courage, humility, and desire, always seeking to be happy, to be healthy, to be a normie, to fit in. And yet the body and the mind work against that. We've just come barely out. I don't even know if we're out of a pandemic, but this world has lost so many treasured loved ones and friends. COVID has done this to us, but I also want to make a note that in the United States, we have lost more people to overdose and addiction this year than ever in our history. Times are tough, especially for any of us who have struggles. So this is the time for us to close our eyes, imagine all the beautiful people we love in our life, including Trevor and Riley, and commit to being better about reaching out, being compassionate, extending our kindness, supporting others when they need us, all in the memory of Susannah and the incredible, wonderful life that she lived. At this time, I'm going to invite Susannah's brother, Josh, to the podium for a few comments.
Hello. My sister was always trying to save everyone. Like we said, it started as a kid when she was rescuing every animal she could find. We had rabbits, hamsters, a rat, and at one point, at least 6 kittens. We also had fleas. So Susannah made me help her wash those goddamn cats. I would have given up after the first one, but she didn't. And after a lot of scratches, flea bites, and with water everywhere, she finally made sure that each of those kittens was clean and healthy. That caretaking instinct continued for the rest of her life. She was always taking in and befriending strays, people who had nowhere else to go or no one else to talk to. Some of those situations were kind of suspect, people who were obviously trying to take advantage of her kindness. And once or twice I tried to warn her, this person's never going to pay you back that money you loaned them. But she didn't care. She just offered them whatever she had anyway. And even though she felt personally betrayed when they took advantage of her, that didn't stop her from trying again with the next person in need. And those people aren't here today, but the many, many, many people who genuinely appreciated her are, and that's what matters. She also saved the family pumpkin pie recipe, and in doing so, she saved Thanksgiving. Those of you who have ever been to our Friendsgivings probably know what I'm talking about. We walked to elementary school together every day. We went to the same schools up until homeschooling. I was perfectly fine with sitting alone in a room, learning from a book, but she wanted actual friends. So she begged, fought, threatened, and negotiated until she got her way, and my parents enrolled her in a school in Pacifica, which was at least a 30-minute trip each way, and of course I had to drive her. But I don't remember ever resenting it too much because it was always a quiet, early morning drive with me and my sister, just talking or listening to music. We had a family cabin up in the woods in the middle of nowhere with not much to do. Susannah and I each bought a book at a secondhand shop on the way up. I know one of them was The Hobbit, and I think the other was Ender's Game. And we each read our book on the first day, then traded and read the other's book the next day. And that was it. That was the first 2 days, and we still had 5 to go. We'd also brought one Discman and one Blink-182 CD. So one of us would listen to the CD all the way through, and they give it to the other person to listen to. And we traded it back and forth every half hour or so until we ran out of batteries. I don't know how many days were left in that week-long vacation. It was the middle of summer, and it was such a hot and miserable trip. but for some reason that remains one of my most vivid family vacation memories, working with Susie to alleviate our excruciating boredom. And during college, while we were both still at our parents' house, I would come home from evening classes or a late shift at a terrible job, and she'd be the only other person awake, so we'd stay up until 4 in the morning, watching crappy TV shows like Eliminate or whatever, and eating fast food and talking about stupid stuff. Her door was always open. I could always go talk to her. And even when we weren't in the same room, we'd constantly be on our computers, messaging each other on AIM from across the house. We had some of the same jobs too. She got me a job at Music for America, where we registered new voters and sneaked beers out of the senior staff's kitchen, and where we'd sit back to back in the same office and send messages to each other on AIM from 3 feet away. A few years later, I got her a job at Akimbo, where our very solemn duties were to watch adult videos and make sure the video quality was okay. Those were weird days. But her meticulousness and organization kept getting her promotion, bonuses, and recognition. Everyone could tell what a hard worker she was. And at that job, one day during my lunch break, I got a call from a friend who told me, "I just saw Susannah walking down the street crying." And I immediately panicked, thinking, oh my God, she found out she has cancer or something. So I rushed back to work and found her and said, what's wrong? What's going on? And she started crying again and said she was pregnant. I grabbed her in a big hug and said, oh, thank God, I thought you were dying. She was 19, and that was the last time I ever saw her afraid. Many times after that, I saw her angry or laughing or tired, but never afraid. She was the strongest person I knew. She decided she was sick of cleaning houses in order to make ends meet, so she put herself through nursing school while raising 2 kids and got a job at Stanford. I can't even handle watching movies about sick babies, and she spent every day taking care of actual sick children. She kept a list of activities for boosting her mental health, and one of them said, hold a baby. That's all it took. She was always asking if she could come over and cuddle my kids. I told her, of course, anytime, though it never seemed like we saw each other often enough. A lot of my friends have had kids recently, and every time I talk to them about parenting, I bring up Susannah. Even with a massive support network, raising 2 little kids seems like an insurmountable task, but she was doing it as a single mother while also going to nursing school, and I don't know how she did that. Suze also had strong convictions. Earlier this year, we were talking about how people have lost all sense of simple social courtesy lately, probably because we've all been stuck inside for a year. She told me about a restaurant that had messed up a reservation and how the host had then tried to blame it on her. She was so angry telling me about it. All she wanted from the restaurant was for them to own up to their mistake. She didn't want a free meal or a gift card or any other kind of material compensation. She just wanted people to take responsibility. And now we're in a speaker battle. But she also never lost her sense of humor and goofiness. A year or 2 ago, she was giggling to herself while sending me pictures of the Halloween costumes she was picking out for her hamster. Any conversation I had with her included at least a dozen inside jokes, most of which have been running for about 20 years. For so long, the collection of things we recognize as an individual person are bound up in a single body. That body walks into the room and we say, oh, there you are. Where have you been? How have you been? And then when they walk back out of the room, we kind of put them out of our mind until the next time we see them. But when that body is gone, we suddenly realize that all those things are actually scattered all around us. Hearing her ringtone, passing her same type of car on the freeway, reading a children's book about a tree, watching terrible late-night TV, listening to a 90s pop-punk band, you suddenly realize that person is everywhere. And so I think it's fitting that the last memory I have of Susannah is fireworks, sitting together on the 4th of July. I came across a picture she had saved on her phone. It was just a simple block of text that read, "Once upon a time, there was a girl that said, 'Fuck this shit,' and did things her own way, and she lived happily ever after. The end." And I think that sums up Susan's attitude toward everything. If she didn't like the way something was, she was going to do her best to change it. And I hope she found a piece of that happiness at our holiday parties, or while being with Trevor and Riley, or while holding a baby. And she was my favorite person. Thanks.
So if you haven't noticed, the theme of today is the giving tree. And for those of you who are not familiar with this book, it's a story about a boy and a tree that have a relationship. And the boy has needs, and the tree gives and gives and gives. So I'm going to read the end of this because it's a long story. After a long time, the boy came back again. "I am sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone." "My teeth are too weak for apples," said the boy. "My branches are gone," said the tree. "You cannot swing on them." "I'm too old to swing on branches," said the boy. "My trunk is gone," said the tree. "You cannot climb." "I am too tired to climb," said the boy. "I am sorry," said the tree. "I wish that I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I am just an old stump. I am sorry." "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I'm very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could. "Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down. Sit down now and rest." And the boy did.
At this time, we'd really love for anyone who has memories or comments or any kind of story or message to please feel free to come forward and share. We're here together now in this place. Now would be a good time for you to come share. So we'll take a minute and see if anyone has any other comments.
Hi, my name is Julie. I work with Susannah at Stanford Children's Hospital. My actual first encounter with Susannah wasn't at Stanford Children's Hospital. I was actually a clinical instructor at San Francisco State when she was a nursing student. So I got to meet her way earlier. Even then, when I was teaching, she was so bright. Like she was so comfortable. Like it was natural to her to be a pediatric nurse. I remember her walking into a room, patients, families loved her, but they thought that she was actually a real nurse already. From then on, I knew that she would be a really good nurse. she worked at Phoenix, so they know a few people. One of them is here right now. And then I remember one day I was came back from maternity leave. I was getting ready for my shift and I turned over and she was there. And I did not expect to see her there. And she told me, yes, I'm here working. So we worked together on our unit on 3 South, which was a transplant unit for a few years. And then she transitioned over to the float team, which I followed along with her. So we've been working together for so many years. Not only is she my colleague, she's also one of my good friends. Even though when I would have bad days, she'd be probably one of the first people I would call, especially if we had bad days at work, and we would bring each other up. And if one was working, we'd be like, are you working? And if we were both working, are we ordering? And it was always ordering food. It wouldn't be pizza because she'd say she'd always have it at home with the boys. And so we'd order Thai, boba. It's like we knew what we wanted to order. I miss her very much. I walk into work and it's hard to know that she won't be there and I won't be able to text her. Being at Lucille Packard, we are all a close-knit team, down from working together 3 South to our acute care flow team. And just being everywhere, if you come, you would know that all of the nurses work together really hard. We have each other's back. And I will miss her when I come into work. She is one of the people I look for when I'm coming into work. I want everybody to know that she is one of the most hardworking people, nurses that I know. She loved the boys so much. She talked about them so much that I haven't met them, but I feel like I knew who they were just from hearing all the stories about them. I just wanted to share about her. She is so dedicated. I mean, at work, she is so dedicated with her patients, even down to where she will tell the doctors if they are wrong and let them know to make sure they're doing the right thing. She stood up for them. I just want everybody to know that she is a good person, good nurse, good mother, and good friend. And I will miss her so much. And I love her so much.
I'm just a mom. My daughter Tabitha can't talk. But from day one in kindergarten, I think I always heard Susannah, Susannah, Susannah. Oh, I'm sorry. So my daughter always it was Susannah, Susannah, Susannah. And she would be so excited to go to, I called it the little fairy tale house in San Mateo. You went through like a church parking lot and she zigzagged me all over the place in my truck. And we just come to this little house in San Mateo. And it was just a fairy tale house. And the door would open. And my daughter would have her sleeping bag and whatever she needed. And I'd get a wave. And then I would come back and pick her up from the fairy tale house. As they grew up, I would hear, Susannah Trevor Riley, Susannah Trevor Riley. I mean, I always kind of made a song out of it. And I loved her children when I got to spend time with them. They probably don't remember as Tabitha's mom. But I think it was the last Halloween before COVID, I believe. It might be a year off. But it was the first time I had ever been the trick-or-treating with my daughter and her grandson. You know, divorce goes in many ways. But I was invited to trick-or-treat, and Susannah opened her door to her home. And have you ever felt in your entire life like putting white gloves on your feet? That is how clean this house was. And I'm mom, so I'm looking for things to criticize, and she's never come to my house. And It's not gonna work, you know. But it was immaculate. It was organized. And she has 2 sons. Keep that in mind when you're looking around at this immaculate home and these beautiful, well-behaved boys. And I love you, Colin. That's Tabitha's son, Colin. And he's in my house for about 10 minutes. And all I left when I went to pick him up was a coffee cup on the kitchen table. So when Colin comes in, I use the restroom, you come out, and it looks like he's been in your house for about a week. There are toys, Nerf guns, bullets that he shot out, aiming for me probably. But Colin's he's my Tasmanian devil, he's my crazy baby. But it was like, you need to clean up your act there, boy. So I'm just here to love Susannah, appreciate such a long, true friendship with my daughter. And it is a beautiful lesson that Tabitha and Susannah stayed together into their adult life. Most of us don't. I mean, it's so beautiful when you do. I can't say that I have. But anyway, that's it. You know, she did everything right, and I'll be darned if anybody says different. Been there, done that myself, for having to close doors on things that aren't the right way, but you know, sometimes it's just too much. So we all have our faults and whatever, but we all try to walk that right way, and she does. So God love Susannah, Trevor, and Riley, as my daughter always said, the Susannah Trevor love.
Yeah, how's it going? My name's Albert. Probably don't recognize me or anything, but Susannah and I met at her favorite juke joint. We're from the Steamies family over on. So those of you who know that she loves going out to Steamies, well, that's where we met, and it's amazing to hear all the wonderful things that I knew about her, and how just even more amazing that she was that I even knew. And getting to know her a little bit better probably would have made my life even that much better, in the same way that I'm sure it made each and every single one of your lives better as well. And the reason I call the Steamies a juke joint, because it was kind of her chance to kind of juke to the side and get step away for a second, never keeping her eye, always keeping her eye on what was important. I would bring up things about going out to do things that that were conflicted with her schedule, and she made it very clear that her family was number one, and that she would always protect their interests and serve their needs first. And that was one of the things I love the most about her. And I just wanted to step up and say that she's the type of person that was always committed to understanding the type of union that she could make more perfect. She knew that when she ran into somebody and they were having an issue, or they were out of beer and it was time for them to go home. It was time for them to go home, but they didn't have enough dough. She'd buy them another beer, if and give them a ride home, and that kind of thing. I just really, that about her was just the most amazing thing. She just a lot like that story with the tree, just giving and just always giving. And I don't know if anybody is gonna sing this song later, but I just wanted to do a couple of verses of Amazing Grace, if that's okay with you guys. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. We'll see you next time, Susannah.
Hi, I'm Danielle. Susannah married my cousin Miguel, and when we first met, we kind of just were like, whatever, lady. Couple of years went by, and then we all hung out all the time, and Susannah moved to San Mateo. And she had Riley and Trevor, and we started talking and hanging out, and I called her one day, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Well, I'm going to move out of my apartment because I don't want to pay rent." And I have a Volkswagen bus, and I told her, "So this summer I'm just going to live in my bus." And she goes, "Oh, well, just come park your bus outside my house." I said, "Okay." And so I get there, and literally I just lived at her house the entire summer, and hung out with the kids while she went to work. And it was like, after that, it was over. Me and Susannah were as thick as thieves. I can't tell you how much I'm going to miss her. But she had some demons to battle, and like everyone else, and she's in a happier place right now. It's very unfortunate. I'm sorry, you guys. I love you guys so much, and you know that. These kids right here, when I first went to your house, you were 3. You know what you did? You want to know? You pooped in the balls, in the play area, in the balls. I didn't know what to do. I had to call Susannah. I was like, what do I do right now? She's like, put Riley in the bathtub, okay? And, a few years later, I moved to Santa Rosa, and then they would always come to my house, and these kids would just destroy my house. But I let them. I don't care. My kid over there, apparently they play some mannequin game. I don't know. But anyways, I love you guys so much. I'm always going to be here for you no matter what. I hope you know that. Okay, that's all.
One last chance to come forward if you have it in you. Give it a minute. "20 years in the classroom, teacher wait time is an expert thing I have here. Come on."
It worked. My name is Joanne. I worked with Susannah at Packard, and Julie said it right. There are a few people that you just look forward to seeing, and Susannah was one of them. I knew no matter what happened that shift, I was doing it with somebody that was just awesome. Usually, I would hear her laugh before I saw her, and that laugh was just amazing. It was positive. It was pure joy. I just thought it was important to say that Susannah had a gift that was, she could meet people exactly where they were, with no judgment and with no criticism, and she knew exactly how to encourage them. She walked through some things with me that I was going through in my personal life that I will forever be grateful for. And I just wanted to say that that's the kind of person that Susannah was. The other thing is she was also what kind of mom I want to be. She used to, I'll say this for you guys, she used to have a list of things you would say. And she'd come to work and she'd share them, and they were always hilarious. One thing she said about you, Trevor, was, and we feel like we know you even though we don't. Is she said the moment he opened a book when he was a baby, and he started before he could say anything, and he knew he needed to read the story. She's like, I'm in trouble, he's smart. And Riley, she was just like, you're just so smiley, you are sunshine. And she used to say your room used to smile. But I just wanted to say that she loved you guys, and it was always a blessing for me to hear the stories and to hear the line. I would look forward to it. I'd be like, Susannah, tell me what story. Tell me what funny thing they said. So I just wanted you guys to know she was an awesome person. She was authentic. She had a gift for meeting people where they were, and she just was a great mom.
The next thing we're going to do on the program is to blow bubbles up to the sky. And before we do that, I just want, on behalf of the family, I know they would want to thank each and every one of you for being here. There's so many people here to honor Susannah today. It's really, really beautiful. And I started by saying, you can feel the love, even though there's no roof on the place. You're filling it up. So carry it forward. Remember Susannah. Check in with Trevor and Riley as much as you can, and love each other. And I'm not sure how we're going to do the bubbles, other than we're just all going to. Riley, do you want to come demonstrate how the bubbles work? Yeah, come on, show us how they work.
Yeah, it's because people will want to do it once you get it started. Once you just get it started. You can take your mask off. Good job. Here, let's take your mask off. You guys have bubbles. Now's the time. Follow Riley's lead. Point them up.
I think we've got enough bubble juice to keep going for hours, so keep them going and enjoy each other. I think there's food and drink. Thank you for being here. We can do one last round of applause, maybe just to end the service here.